So the first item up was the approval of the minutes. I don't remember seeing those, so I don't think we have them.
I didn't see him last month either, but.
Yeah, so I think we'll have to get those. I think Sue was here. Seeing those, so I think we'll move past that. We'll get those other future ones. So next item up is the Very Gun Club. So if you guys could introduce yourselves for the formality of it.
Brad Herring.
Mike Squire.
Okay, well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
It's always good to talk and I always look forward to hearing about how it went and congratulations for another one. You guys have been doing this for a long time now and it's a great tradition here in Barre. So I know there's a couple things you guys want to talk about, so the floor is yours and we'll like to hear from you.
All right, thank you. So overall, everything went well, as it normally does. We did have a couple of issues. One was when people were tracking snow into the lobby and then it melted, that water leaked downstairs onto vendors downstairs.
To that floor, really? Wow.
Yeah, so we didn't know, like that day, that was what it was, but the next day it didn't happen again. So it wasn't like a pipe that was leaking. So Clark was trying to mop up the water in the lobby, like as the snow was melting, but I think once it got into the seam or whatever, it just was in there.
That's a new one. I don't remember hearing that before.
Yeah.
Was it against that back wall?
Yes. Yeah. So basically where the doors come into the lobby, there must be like a seam right there
So
between the concrete and
there's a wooden door there that goes under the stairs. So it's probably that seam at the top where you come in the glass doors. So it's been coming down that wall and dripping in.
Yeah, because
We've done it before.
it was in the coat room area.
Yeah.
Like against the back wall, not
exactly.
where the wooden door is though, but all the way over into the corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
With some rugs or some mats or anything to help that?
My understanding was that was gonna be resealed. I'll check with Tom. It's,
Was it like the sill plate maybe?
Think so,
Where the door is?
yeah.
Underneath it?
So if you look, you can see those granite stairs going up. There's a lot of gaps there now. They've moved a lot. I don't think that's on the schedule for this renovation they're doing. Cal Canny's had given me a quote a couple of years ago about taking them out, taking the granite steps out, repairing everything underneath and setting them back in. It was around 80 grand to do that. But that's something Tom should follow up with.
Okay, and then the other issue was the parking lot. Like, we understand that when there's this parking ban downtown, that people are directed up here to park. But when they come up and park in the big lot, they just park randomly. So when we get up here and our parking attendants are trying to make rows of cars, when there's cars parked just randomly throughout, it eats up a lot of parking space just because they're not orderly. And in the past, we've had the big lot closed off overnight, which forces people to come to the back. And I think in the back, they park a little more uniformly because you got the granite curbs and stuff that, they know where they have to park, right? Whereas in the big lot, they just park wherever they want to.
Right.
So I don't know if there's any way that we can shut that lot off at night.
Right.
Or if we can keep the lane markers, out there.
Right. The city would have to answer if they could shut it off. I imagine they can't because it's
which Tom says they can't because of the parking ban.
Right.
And they're told to park there, not out back.
They could make us, flag it off and have them park at least orderly on that base or something like that.
Yeah,
A
that's
small corral.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But then if they're messed up, it is what it is,
Right.
but.
That was just because it was stormy the night before, so.
right. Which it almost always is a storm the weekend of gun show.
Prerequisite.
Right, which we think is great to have a storm. We just, we'd just like to have some orderliness to the parking. And then there was a bus that was parked out here You know, both-
camper, yeah.
no, it was a school bus
Oh,
that was parked on the side over here.
yeah.
Yeah,
Is that the town's bus or is that?
No, it's somebody who drives for, I think it's Central Vermont. It's not the Barre City school bus.
Yeah.
It's a bus driver for another district that lives down here and he parks a bus here.
right. And so that was parked,
Right,
again, you know, over here and it, like the length of a bus takes up like 6 parking spaces.
right.
So, you know, parking is very limited, you know.
Is that with permission, Jeff? Is that with permission to? park
I don't-
there?
I don't believe so. I think he just comes up and parks there.
Right,
Are there signs restricting though? I never looked. Is there
No,
signs
there's
saying
no,
so?
no signage that says you can't
Well,
park
there
there.
is,
that's
public,
open.
yeah.
Right.
Uh, okay, so I think, you know, obviously we have to talk about that one, but I think that's an easy one to like corral them into one space.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
would be
there's one
awesome.
strip on that far corner or something like that, that would probably open it up enough for you guys to do your thing.
Yes. Yep, that would be great. Thank you.
You're supposed to park up against the BOR, right?
There's a map that goes with a parking ban that they're supposed to run along the side of the BOR. And then across the back row only, but there's probably more cars than that and.
Well, there actually
People-
was only like 5 or 6 cars,
Right.
but they're just parked wherever in the middle of the big lot.
Oh, a little.
You know, they just, oh yeah, I can park anywhere up here,
Yeah.
and they just leave their car. And it's just a headache for our parking attendants.
How's the attendance at the show? I know you were concerned last time with the new regulations. and the
Yeah.
Wait period and things like that, was that?
So it was about 2,000 for the whole weekend, which is down, you know, considerably from what we used to have. You know, that was just, you know, one day previously, so we're about half.
So about half of what you were, I
Yeah.
think all because of the
In
waiting
the
period.
heyday, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just because of the waiting. Yep. So, you know, that may change. The waiting period might get overturned at some point, so. If that happens, then maybe we can get back to what we used to be, but I don't know.
Right,
You know, until then, I think this is the new normal.
right. How does that work for you guys in terms of hosting this every year if you're down 50%?
We're still okay. I mean, it's still something we want to do. We definitely want to do it yearly still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The vendors keep coming, which is a
Right.
big help to us.
Yeah.
If the vendors drop off, then people are gonna see all this empty space and be less likely to
Right,
come
right.
anyway, so if the vendors are here, that's a big
Right.
help to us.
But you had half the people, I'm assuming their sales were.
their sales are down, yes. But it's kind of crazy because the vendors want more tables and, you know, they were reaching out to me last year saying we want more tables. So we actually had less vendors, but those vendors took more space.
May I ask, how do you guys track sales? Do you send out like some sort of summary?
I don't track sales.
So it's just conversational?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, I'm not concerned with how they sell. I'm concerned with whether or not they want to come back.
Uh-huh.
But you got positive feedback from them, they were happy.
Yes. Yeah, overall, I mean, they keep wanting to come back, so that's good. And I think they're trying to weather the storm too, you know.
Just, well, I'm sure they go other places, it's regulation
Yeah.
is different here than they
Yeah.
are. So,
That's right. And we have vendors that tell us that this show is their best show, like regardless. So, you know,
it's a great show, it's been here forever and it's
Yeah.
usually packed.
So what makes it the best?
I can't tell you that. It could be the auditorium, yeah.
I'm just
It could be the date, it could be the location.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weather. I mean, all those things can compile into it becoming one of the better shows, but
It's also up here in Vermont where a lot of
Right.
people
Yeah.
like their guns and like their rifles and
Yeah.
stuff, and so.
I don't mean to sound critical, but I think it'd be helpful to have somebody going out and doing some sort of conversational survey at your next show to try to figure out why is it the best? You know, like what are some of the
Yeah.
things that we could beef up a little bit?
okay, yeah,
It's the food, right?
it could be the food.
Yeah.
It definitely
Well,
could be.
hey, it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
No, we,
Like hot dogs?
Well, it used
no,
to
we-
be hot
Used to be hot dogs and
dogs.
donuts.
And people did say they came every year just to get hot. That's the real thing.
we stopped doing the food service ourselves just because,
Uh-huh.
like with any organization, manpower, it takes a lot of people to man the kitchens, so we utilize, I still call it simply subs to do that for us. So, you know, we kind of give them guidelines of like, you know, you gotta have the hot dogs, you gotta have the pizza, and then we let them go from there in terms of what they want to do for sandwiches and soups or chilies and
Yeah.
so.
Good.
And we appreciate too that, you know, you're getting the stovetop repaired on those antique
Yeah.
ovens.
Yeah.
You know, the ovens themselves would
Yes.
be really nice for
Yes.
the pizza to stay warm, but
Yeah.
baby steps, but at least,
Yeah.
because the year before we had that electric
Right.
abomination
Right.
that was
That
not.
didn't work very well.
A couple of people that were electricians looked at it and they're like, yeah.
That's fortunately part of the.
No, I get it.
Upgrade project that
We
we do
appreciate
each year is kind of, part of it is to kind of update that whole kitchen area.
Yeah.
So you'll have sort of like catering area, cooking facilities. I think they're thinking of getting rid of sort of the dishwashing parts, which I don't think he used at all. But
No.
there'll be better space moving forward. Have some area to
Yep.
bring it in. And he's out of a truck now, right? When he comes up, or does he do everything inside?
They deliver a lot of stuff up here.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, they just bring up with the pickup, they set up
Okay.
on Friday,
right,
bring the paper goods
right.
and,
So you're using the kitchen as much as you could.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that would, the upgrade there should be nice for you guys.
yes.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
No issues, like in the past, you've had Wi-Fi issues and things like that. Nothing
Yep,
there.
nobody reported any Wi-Fi issues this year. No power issues, anything like that, so that's good. No, I think overall, everything went well.
Well, after that year that Rick Taft and I spent like 2 days up here trying to fix that, they ended up going with Fidium fiber.
Oh,
And so your next year, you would have noticed that change right off.
Yeah.
Nobody was dropping Wi-Fi at all.
yep, and we haven't had the issue with it blocking us from
Yeah.
accessing firearm sites in the NICS check, so. Cause that one year they couldn't do background checks because there was a block on accessing that website. So anything firearms related was blocked on the internet,
Which is all bad.
yeah,
You mean in general or just up here?
just here.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a security thing to make sure people weren't looking at something they shouldn't look at or whatever,
Oh, I didn't hear that before.
and the only other thing that, well, I talked to Michelle already about the floor plans that are like the area that we may be potentially losing or whatever for a table, so that's something that once, I guess it's finished, we'll see, and then work on our table layout after that. If we could see like a floor plan to know kind of like ahead of time where we're gonna lose space, that would be helpful. And we would like to, in the past, we've always been able to schedule tentatively out like 3 to 5 years. We've always been on the calendar. And we would like to continue with that. I mean, not be under contract for that time, but just have the dates blocked out, so nothing else can kind of like scoop in our time frame, so.
It's pretty consistent.
Yeah, it's very, very much the same weekend every year, so. We would like to ensure that that's gonna continue.
The first weekend of February every year.
It's the weekend following the first Thursday. Yeah. And
That would be the first weekend.
it's not.
Too early for that, right?
It's not always, because sometimes February 1st is on Friday. So it won't be the first weekend on those, in those years.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
So we have our trustee meeting on the first Thursday of every month, and we like to have our meeting to get everybody organized. So Friday we come down and do setup, and then the weekend we're here for the gun show. So
How late is the show open till?
on Saturday it's open until 5.
Yeah. You ever thought
Sunday
of-
until 2.
You ever thought about going later on Saturday into?
That the vendors would hate me for
Okay.
that.
In the morning and whenever I've gone, the morning's been always the big.
Yeah, the
It works
mornings
absolutely.
are jammed, yeah. And even this year, like we had a line out the door, like for like an hour or so. It's kind of crazy in the morning on Saturday. Yeah, and Sunday we used to be open until 3, and just the afternoons would die off so bad that
Yeah.
the vendors would start backing up, and it's like, well, how about we'll cut it back to 2, and we'll make 2 a hard stop, but everybody's got to be
Sure.
set up until 2. So,
Yep.
and that's worked out okay since then.
What's your door admission rate?
$12.
What would happen, do you think, if you adjusted and made it just a little bit lower for those who show up in the afternoon?
I don't know that I could regulate that. Like, it would be tough.
I think people like getting there first. and then they
Yeah.
can kind of see what's
That's
there.
it.
So if there's gonna be a mad rush in the beginning.
Yeah.
For everyone to.
And some people do like to wait till the afternoon when they know the crowd's not gonna be as big, and they're fine with paying.
They
the
kind of self-select.
$12.
I
Yeah,
got you.
And some of the vendors are more willing to wheel and deal because they don't have to lug that back out to their
Absolutely.
trucks in the
Yeah.
snow. So there are, to Brad's point, there
Yeah.
are a lot of people that do it, their buying schedule is that.
Uh-huh.
But to the lowering the rate, it's like, first off, how would we get that out there where the public knew? That it's $10 after noon or something. And I don't think that that's a detriment to, they're either coming or they're not coming again.
yeah,
They just choose the time that fits what they're looking for.
If they like the crowds that they like to.
Right.
Freedom a little bit.
Mm.
well, I also think part of it is the parking, so like Saturday, they wanna get here early so they can get a parking spot and not have to be parked down at Lenny's or. Down at the depot or whatever and walk from there.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's fill this place up.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
packed.
the parking lot fills, by 10 o'clock, there's no place to park on Saturday morning.
So to address that point, Tom and Michelle are doing all the contracts and scheduling.
Yeah.
It's working really, really well. They'd have to answer that question. I don't know why, I would think they would want to try to keep that weekend available without a contract. I don't know. You guys would have to figure out how to do that, but certainly the gun show, I think, deserves the attention on that front. So.
Okay. So yeah, I can send you an email, Michelle, if that's okay. Yeah, awesome. I don't have anything else, I don't know.
Tell me a little bit about sales, and now that the guns have gone off a little bit, is it still? Guns are 60% of everything that happens, and what else is sold in larger amounts, or takes up a portion of what you do at the show?
So we have a jerky vendor that sells a pile of beef
Yeah.
jerky, like it's crazy how much beef jerky gets sold here, and for a few years we had pickles and like canned goods, and
Gizmos.
we had Gizmo's pickles here, and if they didn't retire and go out of business, they would still be coming, and people would actually come just to go see them.
It's crazy.
Like they would go downstairs and they'd leave with a case of canned pickles and jellies and whatever else.
Okay.
Like
I bet
just-
none of you ever did that, huh?
So
Yeah, could we just add to a future agenda that somebody involved in creating those drawings would spend maybe 15 minutes with an overhead talking about the overall plan? I have some specific questions, but things that we should be talking to people who are actually working on the project.
We put out the concerns, put it up on the screen here, but I can turn out a full set. He did send out the re-arch strong approval. They put them where.
They did, and it's great. It's just that I think it would be helpful to have a brief presentation.
Okay. Let's see if I can have.
What's the date they started playing? This moment.
Both were.
with my experience is in construction. I got 3 jobs right now that were supposed to be done 2 months ago. And oh yeah, not due to us, but completion dates are. Well, yeah, that's an issue. As far as. Including the mark and the Sanders grant, they will make it. 8.5. So, construction 4.9, so I think that. I don't know if they, I've had some conversations about that, but, right now it's. You want to use improvement fund, here, but it's, much improvement. Right now, if you remove the lots and renovations and the loading dock, that would basically then work out. So
Those locker room renovations, that's gonna happen.
that's the concern, this is always gonna be. There, they fund it and more. Right now, we're looking at 700 or so shortage, which is the cost of the locker room. So Tom will have to answer that a little bit more, and we'll have to do it. It's you only have so much money, and there's only so much you can do. I think everyone here at this table really thinks that the locker rooms moving forward and the BPA stuff is super critical. And if you look at the plans, it's awesome what they've got done essentially. So I don't know if the city can do anything, or if there's fundraising we can do, or what might close that gap. But that discussion has to be had about how we make all of this happen. Because the easy thing not to do, everything else has to be done. The locker rooms don't have to be done. But the boiler, the electric, the ADA, those are going to be the first priority. So you're gonna have to, Sorry. Right now, they're not taking people. Too long. So there's nothing really much I can say about it. I wish Tom was here to talk about it a little bit more. But there are some concerns in terms of the timetable. And the cost.
Just about these totals, is there an overage that's built in 15%?
From the estimate?
Yeah.
I don't know. I doubt it. Most of they're construction managers, so they're not even quoting it. So they're just saying, we think it's gonna be 4.9, but as the bills come in, we're gonna tell you what it is. So typically, I think those are understated.
I think so too.
So.
Once you're in,
If they're
consider backing out.
Yeah, they're gonna sound good when they come in.
Okay.
That kind of.
What's holding up the What's holding up things?
I don't know if it's the architects or the, my guess is drawings and architects.
Boy, we gotta get going.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah,
They would be,
right.
I don't think that they're, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth and I'm not here, so I don't know how close he is. But yeah, I know it's not him, it's just that the architects, it just takes a long time to get anything through these days. So I think he's done a good job. I just think that he's a little bit along for the ride.
What about the project manager?
I haven't heard anything about that. He was thinking of getting a project manager. We talked to him about a couple people, potentially do it, but he's not available to do it.
I talked to somebody who does similar size projects. Short notice, supposed to have it replaced, but, I put him in contact, whatever. He said that Tom calls on the same time as primary information, but that person reached out to one or two other people in the industry. Said no. But, Tom was gonna talk to him and see what the like was like. I believe they're required, as part of the fund contingency, they're required to have a project manager. So they have to have someone. Yeah. And I think that's a government, if you will. So, there's a lot of, it could be something in the city. Yeah, I think the city is very tight on manpower and there's a lot for everyone to do in the city, so I can imagine anyone taking on an additional role like that, but it's not my call at all. Yeah. So anyway, Tom, there's a lot going on in this plate. This is a big project, so I look forward to, I guess, talking to him about it next month. What just hired me, Tom?
Yeah, so Steve's transitioning, working with a new manager they're hired there. So I don't know how many more days he's got left over there, but he'll be leaving Northfield soon.
Yeah. There's some big ticket items here, though, you know, added building. Meeting a couple hundred. So there's some big ticket items for this. I don't remember seeing the boiler even. So anyway, it's you know, he gave us some information, which is great. I highly recommend really reviewing the art. The drawings are fantastic. He did send along quotes. I think we'll go over that at the end when we're going to look at the presentation. So that's almost anything else on the table. I don't think
I guess the only thing I would say, I realize that we're not here to be micromanaging. But it seems like we need to know that it's going to move forward. And I wonder if we can ask for an update in 2 weeks, for example, before the meeting. You know, what's happening? Do we have a project manager potentially lined up? It seems like there are a lot of moving pieces, and if we wait for another 4 weeks,
right.
Where I grew up, it's, you know, we're shit out of luck. That's
right. I'm bringing my stuff by and just for the and see if I can meet with him for a couple minutes.
He should have more information. He had a meeting yesterday.
Afternoon. Walk through. Amount of work that it takes to do this kind of stuff is tremendous. Yeah. So we just got
Michelle, who do you meet with?
I don't know the project itself, like all the people, parties that they had to meet yesterday.
I hope, you know, obviously our committee has no.
Yes.
Decided to cut for planning and development portion. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
That's definitely one of the key areas that got this project going.
It's we all think highly of that, and we'd all really see it just for the experience of the tournaments and the people coming in here. And there's whole, you know, the wrestling was really happy coming here. But you know, the ADA has to be done, the electrical has to be done. Yeah, it'd be nice because long term thinking, right?
Bake sale every Saturday.
Yes, yeah, lots of big sales.
An exotic beef jerky.
Right. The problem with things like that, like if you do it as part of this project, cost it's here. If you do it as a separate thing later, it costs something here. So it's kind of now or never in some ways. So any further discussions we have on that one? Anyone got anything else to add to it? Okay. Moving on to the members. We went through renewals. And appreciate everyone's signed up for another couple of years. As part of that, our
review it. I'm definitely very happy that tied them up. So, not failing basketball, there was a couple of things, gave us some things, we did do a request for Nicholas and he gave us a bunch of information on it. If y'all had a chance to read through that, that's some interesting reading. I think it's we've certainly been here before with a very difficult customer. Want them to succeed. I think it's been quite a taxing environment for I'd say Tom and Joe and Nicholas as well. It doesn't sound like it's going all that great, but on what they saw and all
I could go on for a long time about this because I was there a lot. I'm not a fan at all, and I am a fan. That's the deal. And I remember the good times with the Frosties, but I can remember some of the bad times that way too. But this has got to be run a whole lot different than as far as in my estimation. The plant that they put on the floor. I just, because I know of some of the people locally that have been stung by this whole deal, and that just can't happen. The city obviously is so owed money, and I just don't understand for the amount of trouble and the amount of work that staff goes through all the time, getting ready for games and knocking down after games. And I know the work that personally I did up there, just getting ready for my kids on Sundays when it was available, because I lost 6 days that I wasn't able to bring those the kids in the auditorium because they were it says in this rental agreement that all practices and games may not conflict with any paying customer rental. I know we were paying for the neutral for these Sunday nights and like that. And like I said, well, I've lost several days because of them. And but they all started out really well up there. We had some people in the stands. But I want to tell you that through the course of the year, that got to be a really sad experience. And he's a tough guy to work with, Anthony. And so I tried 2 or 3 different times trying to show him different ways that I thought he could make that product a better product for the fans and get more people in the doors. But he doesn't want to listen. And I just don't want it a worse thing for the city. And then there's the people that he's going to ask for money again, and he wants to put that logo back on the floor. I understand it's got to come up for the high school basketball tournaments, but I don't know who in their right mind is ever going to give him that kind of money. And the hassle that we went through getting that off the floor, the work that we had to do. I'll tell you, the guys, the staff over there was 3 guys on their hands and knees. Not taking it back. She did a pretty good job taking it off. I'm just saying that there's a lot of work that the staff goes into as far as the. Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious. I looked over the rental agreement and I found myself wondering why there wasn't a clause about defaulting on responsibilities and also specific steps laid out about how to repair any damages, unpaid rents, for example, to the city. We're kind of missing some important stuff that usually shows up in the lease agreement. The other thing is, just generally speaking, I just looked at this and I thought this is a very soft lease agreement. And I don't know who the authorized agents are. They're not listed, typed out with title, nor is there a date. There's just kind of a softness about this that I would like just as a committee. The most important thing to me is when, of course, there are always issues that happen, but how do we repair those issues? if somebody hasn't paid their rent responsibility, what is their obligation? What is the time frame for making sure that that is properly paid? And then what is our responsibility if we are asked to provide space again? How do we make that decision? I don't think that this is a very solid agreement, and I would ask for there to be some updates to how these are structured.
Really, what I recollect in past years when we discussed rental contracts and that sort of thing, if not all of them, some of it was suggested that the payment be made up front.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to run a credit business, you better be prepared to lose money. That won't work out otherwise, you know. So I mean, in this, giving these people credit is really questionable as far as I'm concerned. And I thought that we said, you can't make your payments 10 days before your event or something along that line. Yeah, that you're not going to show up. It's canceled. We don't have to employ the people to do things and so on and so forth and be there. You know, Bernie wouldn't lose his time and so on and so forth. It just, I don't understand this agreement. In my mind, you put all the things you want in a contract, collecting it if things happen. Good luck.
I totally agree.
Yeah, good luck.
But I just looked at this and I thought, oh gosh, that is one bad agreement.
Wow.
I'll just add, as someone who uses the Civic Center up here, I thought that agreement was really generous. In terms of the free time allowed outside of games. You know, I run a very small nonprofit like Lacrosse League in the Civic Center, but we've been doing it for years. We pay full price for every second we're in there. You know, maybe I need to do a better job of negotiating. But I didn't really think that was even possible, you know, so maybe I need to have a conversation with the city about that kind of thing. And the other part about billing is true. We're billed way after the fact. I mean, you know, we do stuff in July. Sometimes I don't get that bill till late August, even September. So that could be something that the city could be more timely with. Certainly, you know, I get a bill. I'm like, geez, what the heck did we do in July? Right? And we go back and make sure this matches what we actually use.
You didn't get your justification sheet?
I know I get the dates and everything, but you know, I gotta make sure like, okay, this matches what we actually did.
It's a year, it never worked because 90% of the renters are non-profits, right? Everybody's like, that's non-profit anymore. Right, which there's very few businesses up here. So this was what I remind everybody, our committee just advisory. We were not part of this. I mean, I read like the first 5 pages. I'm not sure why we got the FOIA request. I read the first 5 pages and I just stopped reading. Like, care that point. But it set the tone. Yeah. You didn't read more than 4 or 5 pages, but sounds like this might go litigation. I don't know what's going on, but we really don't have a saying it, right? Over the years, we'd be asked to come and give our opinion, right?
Yeah.
Be considered, but
We can make
really,
recommendations.
we make recommendations.
Make
But
recommendations.
this,
Mm-hmm.
right,
I think it's a good, you know, I think they're trying to get attention to this place. Having a renter in here that has a league and people are into seeing it, I think is great.
For other
You
renters,
know, it's difficult when you have someone and then you're a difficult customer to deal with. And this is a difficult customer to deal with.
The other thing too, I mean, fairness means a lot. And I feel badly that there are maybe other organizations, other individuals who are interested in using the space. And this just doesn't feel fair.
Last thing about the logo, I was surprised that logo was taken. Just, I had no idea about this agreement. I had no idea what it cost. You know, but Tom gave an option to keep the logo on the floor and put pinstriping over it. You know, every basketball court, every logo in the center of the court, there's an outline of the center circle. There's an outline where the tip is. There was an option to move forward, keep the logo there, and put pinstriping over it to have a clear, defined center court. So I don't know why the decision was made. You know, I read that email. It was made out of anger. I don't know, like, hey, just rip it up. I'm done talking about it. But I think that was
Well, it was the owners the owner never got paid for it, and the owner said, that's my logo. You never paid me for it. That's still my logo. That's my material.
So the vendor that they used asked it to be returned?
Well, they said if they were owed over $10,000. And they said, if we're not getting paid for that logo, we're taking it. It's ours.
Did you get it up, give it to them?
They got it up, but once you pull that up, it's not good.
Well, I mean, is it pieces or what? I mean,
I get it, all right. Or the principal,
Are there some recommendations?
right.
Can I speak for a minute, Joe? Sure. So I'm looking at these billings and, like Bernie runs that Mutwa night where the kids come in and you're charged $70 an hour, which is, that's a reduced rate because typically you've got the fee for using the auditorium or the BOR. And then there's the hourly rate, which we did for nonprofits like BYSA, 70%, whatever it is, $70 an hour compared to the other. They've got a discount of, looks like they're only paying 70% of the $70 per hour. So they're paying 30 something an hour to have practices. And, and in the meantime, we're taking time with BYSA basketball, the move to our clubs for, and giving it to a group that's not even paying the discounted rate, which is ridiculous. And they owe us money. They haven't paid.
So, obviously we're in a situation where this has kind of gone south with them as a group. But hindsight is great and we're trying to get some and backwards to be like, well, this was done. So I think we've got to watch that a little bit. We're involved in the regional discussions. So moving forward, I agree with that. We can struggle with things like, if you get a lower rate, well, how come I don't get a lower rate? So keeping everything equal, I think, is a better way to do it. We don't set up any of that stuff, so we can discuss it and contribute it. That's not ours to set that up.
The pricing and payment protocol. If we are requiring some people to pay in advance, it seems that we should be requiring all renters the same.
Mhm.
It seems reasonable.
I think we do that where there's renters who have a long track record of the gun club.
Okay.
With Pitching Game Club, it was the people who
I mean, if we can't trust.
we had trouble collecting, saying, okay, go forward, if you want to come back, you have to pay advance, we're not going to chase you for something.
Out of town renters.
So let me paste this to you. So when does that person get decided that, oh, you're okay now, you don't have to pay your money now? You've been with us, what, how many years before we then can make that decision? Because what you're doing is you're basing it on people who have been here a while, but what about other groups that have been here a while? You see what I mean? Like because you're saying you're not going to make them pay the advancement, which we only do part of it anyways, because we don't know the number of vendors. So I have to bill them twice. Okay. So, but I'm saying, who's to say when they've reached that category so they don't have to pay a deposit? So I'm going back to everybody's paying a deposit. They're at least paying the rental fee, and then they pay their improvement fee and their booths and stuff later. So that's what I'm doing now.
Michelle, are you sending out invoices to the city now?
I don't send them out myself. I have to prep it all and then give it to the city. So every month between the 10th and the 15th, it's my responsibility to go through the calendar, prep all the invoices, send it down to City Hall. They put it in their accounting system and then they invoice it out to all the people. So there's people that don't get billed until the end of the month because of cancellations. For example, Spalding High School, they have all of their thing and sometimes they cancel, sometimes whatever. So we don't bill them until that 10th through the 15th the next month. There are things that do one-offs that I bill right away. There's anything that's under $100 has to be done. So anytime somebody rents the Rotary, they're supposed to pay it before they use it. Because that's the only rental that we have that's under $100. Otherwise, I always invoice everybody in advance, birthday parties, whatever it might be. They're all invoiced now in advance, or at least a portion of it is that we know the details about. Everything else, like overtime for staff, the booths, the improvement fees, that's done in a second payment if it's a large event that requires additional.
Someone that wants to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's just her.
You get the invoice, but do they have to pay before you come in, right? They have to pay that invoice before.
You get the invoice after it's done because she doesn't know some of the.
They get two invoices. They pay the deposit, which is basically the rental. For a big thing, it'd be like the $1,550, for example.
before they can actually get the keys.
Yeah.
So did you say that the trust or whatever they are?
They're billed after because they have cancellations.
They have an invoice before each event. Okay,
They're ones that get billed after.
okay.
They're multiple users.
Okay.
When they're multiple users like that, we don't bill to the end of the month.
Myself should have, how do you keep track of it in a long time, the renter, et cetera, et cetera. And my theory would be, if you're a local person, Barre Allen, we know where to find them. Blue Ball, we know where to find them. Spalding High School, we know where to find them. Fish and Game Club, we know where to find them. And they're local people. In general, they can pay, they're going to pay. This is my theory, being in business for a long time. When you start to get out of town people, when somebody walks in my door and, hey, I need $100 job or $1,000 or $10,000 job, and if I say we can do it, now we need a deposit. And in a lot of cases, when you pick it up, you pay the balance. It's 50% down, and the other 50% when you pick it up. Now you can do anything you want, but I suggest with somebody like this basketball thing and other potential renters out there in the future, you collect it all up front. If they can't pay within 10 days before the event, you're canceled.
The basketball is a little unique because they use it at different times and then they might have a game and cancel it. So that's a little unique. I think right now it sounds, and I agree with that, like you show we know where they live, but when they sign up, they get billed invoice for first and they pay that. And I think that's the best way to do it. And the consistency from dealing with it, everyone the same is very valuable. And someone comes and says, well, come on, I'm your friend. Well, no, you're not. So you have to pay.
That's why, even if somebody's an out of towner has been doing it for 5 years and they say, well, why can't I pay after? I draw the line, you're out of town. No, sorry.
This is it's a difficult situation, a different one because we don't have many renters like this. We have BYSA, figure skating, and stuff like that. It's a different kind of renter.
I agree.
So again, going forward, are we holding calendar dates for this team right now for 2026, 27, or are we opening up the calendar?
They haven't put any requests in yet. I don't meet with them until next week.
So the policy as a city is to make sure that things are properly paid from previous invoices before calendar dates are held.
They can hold it, but that doesn't mean they're getting it unless they've paid.
Moving forward with, there might be in your holdings and holds, but you guys resolved.
Their contract doesn't end till the end of 20
June. 30 days or something. If you
Till the end of June.
It's straight on 30 days.
End of June, end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So they got some time.
So can I say one more thing about the logo? So if I think we ought to go to like we did over at the BOR. If somebody wants a logo on that floor, they should pay to have a logo put on that floor. What do you get for the big ones on the ice over at the rink? 1,500. So that should have been their logo. If we had that same policy over there, we would have billed for 1,500.
Is that just for the season? You gotta make sure
that's just for a season, right?
Yeah, same as the ice screens over, there's $4,500 a year that comes in on the ice screens.
I think this is a little different putting on the basketball floor, right? Well, yeah, we have to be careful we put on there the DPA, and so I'm not keen on selling big court for the basketball court. I think this is we weren't involved in this contract. It's clearly not a great contract. I'm not sure why the city would be even entertaining next year.
Next year's contract.
I'm saying at this point, I read 5 pages of emails. I'm like, this relationship should be severed. I'm not sure, and they haven't paid the money. So I don't know what the discussion is, and I guess it's not for us, but I don't know why the city's even.
City did it. They got to decide what they're going to do.
I think the city should just be okay. We told us Sunday, get stuff from kids scheduled now.
I think Matt's saying that there's got to be a set space, diameter, whatever you want to call it, and whatever you want goes in there. You can't put anything in 6 inches or 6 feet out from there or whatever.
We're just going to get someone in here that people that can give barrier to.
No.
That is fantastic. I don't think this has worked out all that well. I'm glad that he's right. And I think this guy's put the staff through hell. I think his bills. That's not our decision of what to say if he comes back or not. But it's not been a great relationship, and I think Barry has acted fairly well. I think he is not, in my opinion, is a limited just spending that one. So
Just one more
obviously,
thing.
we're
You're talking about a contract for next year. And to me, you know, anything in that contract, whatever they had this year is overlooked. Yeah. Charlie, if you get a steel delivery now, do you see the surcharge, fuel surcharge and everything else that's on it? They don't ask you if they can do it. It just shows up on your invoice now.
They get you something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a long term. I have no idea what the city's planning on doing with that one. I'm glad that'd be a tough one for them to deal with. So, any other comments on the Coyotes?
The only grass, input on as far as the Coyotes go, or of course not?
We're an advisory committee, so we can always talk to them and tell them what we think. But that would be our role.
Would you do that through Tom? Or
it would generally be here at this meeting.
Talk to the manager after this meeting.
Nicholas is pretty good about something. Typically, we have a meeting in town.
Right.
Back here as well with the city council.
I hate to see us wait for another month for another meeting, and all of a sudden they run into the Coyotes again under whatever circumstances. And if it's half of the 70,
Jeff is the city on the city council, so
That's why I'm here. I'm not a member of this committee. I'm the liaison to the council.
our input into the city is Jeff.
advisory.
I think that we
So Jeff, how are you going to liaise on this? Just briefly.
Well, I'm the one that asked you guys to file for a FOIA, so that's what I'm going to use when we bring it up at council. The guy's not paying his bills. They have people that don't pay their water bill, and they go down and shut their water off. Well, we're going to let this guy just ride. So
Okay, thank you.
I'll represent the committee.
I don't think anyone feels great about the situation that this is. No, I can't. I applaud the outcome and stuff. I think someone will find out what for a window.
So this is what they all.
I don't know, it could be different now. Could be different now. Because he's been making payments.
How much is the second payment?
It's about $2,960.
$2,900?
Yeah.
So he has been making the payments on.
You'll see the payments he's made there. I don't know if he's made a payment since then and now. Just depends what's elapsed from that time. Because I think he was scheduled to come in.
Interest is usually $46.
Okay, so you had some. I'm thinking, so let's move on from the Coyote charge issue. Marking report, yeah, what is it?
Need to make a correction here, Jeff. Actually, there's $5,500 a year that's underneath the ice over there. I forgot. Thunder Road started advertising a year ago as well. Just to try to lighten it up a little bit, I just got to tell you a quick story. If you've been following, and I'm sure most of you do, if not all, the sports program out of the University of Vermont, the women's basketball coach, who has been very successful there for a number of years, has left the University of Vermont, and she's accepted a position down at the University of Richmond in Virginia. Her husband is the co-coach. And Bernie and I have become good friends with both of them because the women's team has been coming up here 5 or 6 years in a row for an open practice. Obviously that goes away. However, about 2 weeks ago, I did send a note to Will Lanier, who's the assistant coach / husband. I said, Will, you think it's too much of a stretch to bring the Lady Spiders from Richmond here to the auditorium? I got a pretty good response, which I won't share with the table, but That's really a little too bad. We didn't get many people that came in, but boy, it was a nice piece to have down on the marquee sign. UVM women's basketball coming in. Couple of weeks ago, sadly, the men's basketball coach over at Johnson State College, boom, dropped dead. I say that because Bob McLeod and I went to the funeral. And again, it's just one of the things you do when you've been working with people in the past and they've been coming in for 4, 5, 6 years. And when we walked in to the gym over at Johnson State, the athletic director came over and gave us a hug. So, you know, those are the things you do just to keep your head above water, I guess, and so on and so forth. One thing that is coming back next year that we know definitely, Mount Mansfield girls, who are the Division I defending champions, they're coming back. We're meeting with the coach next Tuesday down in Burlington to see if we can get something a little bit more definitive on that. As you know, and this has slowed down on the revenue a little bit. I've missed 3 months out of the last 10. 2 months I was in the hospital, rehab in hospital, and then for the month of March I was down in Florida. I say that because the checks are slowly and steadily coming in. Of yet, I think because of the gentlemen that were here early, the events of which are happening up here more frequently in the last few years, we have only lost one sponsor in both buildings. It's a rugby club that put their banner in over in the BOR last year. And for the life of me, I have no idea why they did it, because they don't even come here to practice or play. And they admitted that they sent the money to the wrong arena, but whatever the case may be. Sorry, but you know, too late. That's right, exactly. Sorry, but too late now. Yeah, but I just sit here and listen to this meeting. The first part of this meeting is just, I mean, that's the difference between profit and non-profit, what we just went through. I mean, how in hell can they tell us that we can't do anything in the auditorium from April 1st until the middle of November? And it's May 13th and not a brick has been moved yet. 6 weeks. 6 weeks. I mean, we weren't flooded with, we just didn't schedule anything. But it's mind-boggling to me how the city can be a month and a half and not put, I mean, that's a difference. I've worked for profits all my life once I get out of education. Something like that happened. It didn't happen because strings were pulled and pistols were pointed. Get up here and get it done, or we're moving on to another contractor.
I just be careful. You deal with these contractors and they're gonna tell you they'll be here in January 1st. They don't come till March.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I deal with that all the time.
No alternatives.
You're so at the mercy of them that you're being promised this and then it doesn't happen. And I would question how much control the city has over their contractors, because I feel like I have very little. It's certainly a frustrating situation because we're so far behind right now. But I don't think that's due to management. I think that's unfortunately the construction and architects and things like that. It was an aggressive schedule. And I'm not, we talked about this months ago that, boy, I don't know if that's going to happen. But that's what they were told. So they were going off what they were told.
And I don't mean to, be argumentative, but that's why we need the business manager. Basically working this project, squeezing everything forward, pushing it over time. But that's really, a point person is so important right now. I just don't think they have that.
It is. We do have that at BMS, and it's like putting your head against the wall. I get results out of these people. So anyway, let's get back to what you were moving forward with.
I'm just gonna say that the further away you get from the center of Barre, the less push you have. mean, we just dealt with a contractor on a new building, and fortunately, it was a local contractor. They were there the day they said they would be, and they were done when they said they would be. The further you get away from the center of Barre, the harder it is to get things done, because all of a sudden you're the small apple falling from that tree. I know where they're gonna go. I mean, where the money is, where the big money is, you know?
This is a relatively small project.
Yeah.
For us.
A lot of money to us, but it's, yeah, re-arch, it might be peanuts. Yeah. So,
And the last piece is I spent a pretty good part of my life in gymnasiums in my early career. So I have a few connections with coaches to this day around the state and ADs and so on and so forth. And I hear from them a year ago how pleased or excited they were to hear that a semi-pro team was going to come into the auditorium. It's the exact opposite now of what they're hearing out in the Swantons and the Essex Junctions and the SBs of the world that, well, they have up there. You know, the reputation of that particular group is slowly going down the drain. If it's not already been flushed, I don't know. But that's just what it is.
Reputations are well earned.
That's right.
that's fine for education.
Yeah.
Maybe competition coming this year, because there's an ABA team that's being organized.
Burlington, yeah.
There's one thing here, I don't know if you read it, it just came off a couple of days ago. And some of you can obviously, I assume, give more information, appropriate information than I. But there's something that the University of Vermont is trying to work out of Montpelier, where a percentage of revenue coming into the state would help finance the new athletic facility at Burlington. And the sentence that just made me shiver, that, you know, it's going to be a new $5,000, 5,000 person capacity, that they could hold all sorts of state tournaments in that new building. So,
Providing they don't interfere with UVM events.
yeah, but by March, the UVM events are pretty slender.
I'm sorry, could you just back up a little bit? So this is actually something that has been approved and then.
No, it hasn't been approved. It has not, Sue. They can't, they don't have the funding. They haven't for years.
All right.
They thought they were that close before COVID started, because the structural steel for that building is still on the property.
Yeah, they made all the steel and they it to site and it's just sitting there into it.
But when I saw that part, I said, geez, that could make a difference up here in Barre, because clearly a new facility, you know, the Essex Junctions and the Missisquois of the world probably would go to Burlington rather than come back here.
A 5,000 square foot facility is not going to rent for $1,500 an hour or whatever it is.
5,000 seats.
No, 5,000 seating.
So whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's not going to rent for, they're not going to give that away.
No, well, that's why the BPA comes in here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Primarily. I love it. I mean, because the nice things that the whole, I'm not on that committee, but from Jeff and Bernie and Paula, I mean, VPA loves the auditorium.
When the VPA plays Division I up at Burlington, they pay, everybody there is unionized, so they pay for everybody. The guys that sell tickets, the ushers, all the attendants, they have to pay for every one of those. Over here, it's all the Barre Tournament Committee volunteers.
Plus, what do they pay for the use of the court compared to here?
They pay $15.50 a day. That was the other thing that bugged me with the Coyotes, was they pay full rate, you know, for the auditorium. And then the staff, the auditorium staff that gets paid, that's built in. So the city bills, Michelle knows, she gets the hours for the police, the EMTs, the custodians, that's all added on top of the $15.50 per day.
Plus, it's the odd.
It's centrally located too. That's the bigger draw.
Yeah, this is easy to get.
Yeah.
Let's say like the history of it. They do like the odd.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they do. But the odd was built in 1929. They built a brand new facility at Patrick. 39?
Yeah, 39 here.
Okay. They build that new facility when, it's not if, when they build that new facility in Patrick. I'm not going to be around here, and half the committee may not be here, but boy, look out, because I don't think you'll see the VPA coming here as frequently as they are right now. place themselves as well as you do, and we'll be okay.
Do you have anything else to add, or any questions?
I'll be quiet now.
Um,
Sorry.
That's not very uplifting. Could you end on an uplifting?
Yeah, I can help you. You know, Jim, I can tell them about the new teams that are coming, play ball here this winter, that we tell them about the solstice and the new additions that we got. So.
Yeah, we have. The winter solstice will be in its third or fourth year. This is when girls and boys from various teams have been coming, and it's been very well received. Friday night, I wasn't here because I was on my back up on the hill, but it was pretty close to a sellout. And Saturday with 4 games, we did well. We've made a couple of changes, and not returning this year are the men's and women's team from Montpelier High School, and taking their place will be U32 High School. And not returning this year are the men's and women's team from People's Academy, but Memorial Union High School will be taking their place. So those changes were made for 2 or 3 different reasons, and it will, I think, bring more spark to those 2 days of basketball here. So, and they're all committed. So it's it was good.
It's good to get different schools too, because it spreads the word.
Yeah.
And we still got Williamstown and Twinfield coming.
Williamstown and Twinfield's coming in. The Friday night game will be Memorial and Hazen, and then Saturday will be U32 and who else do we got here? Whoever. Spalding, yeah. That's it, Charlie.
Anyone else? Good questions? Okay, last one was the staff report by Tom, who's not here. Send out some notes. Quickly. And we talked on, we didn't catch. We had a meeting at 5:12, look forward to hear what's coming on that. I didn't like waiting for the cost for asbestos abatement. I don't know how much asbestos we have in this place.
Oh, well, I know in the auditorium, all those landings and those piles are all asbestos.
All right.
Probably. I think that's it. I mean, the rest of the floors are concrete. No, it shouldn't be.
Project budget 3.9, proposed cost 4.9. There's your overage. City Hall project, the numbers are close, so it's in good shape with that. We'll have to talk about this. The audit, remove the locker room, the loading dock. The rest does come out. Here's Coyote information, which we've discussed. And as far as facility updates, City Hall, the bathroom is almost completed. Basement hall flood repair completed. Flooring for manager's new office and in front of clerk counter order. Public safety. The journal is coming up. We had the Rotary drop on May 15th, which is market 29th.
What?
Which is market.
What the heck is a witch's market?
I don't know.
It's a witch's market. It's basically vendors that have candles and incense and teas, and those kinds of things. And there's about 78 of them coming, the vendors.
They have a big kettle.
No. But it should be pretty good. They've been advertising for quite some time on Facebook. She's got a pretty good turnout, it looks like.
When is that?
The last weekend in May,
Nice,
30th, 31st.
nice.
Oh, man.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Mr. Burgon or some part of that. They brought some people.
Yeah.
Dug up repaired and the
Full house.
the pool is opening day in June. I don't know about gift cards and stuff like that.
No, I do not. I'm looking for people Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I've got everything else covered Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So send them my way, people. What an awesome job for the summer, right? Hanging out at the pool and all the things we're doing there this summer. It's going to be a happening place.
Thank you. So that was his report. The only other thing that wanted to be discussed is the sign on the front of the building.
It has no power to it right now. So they're gonna have to trim and take some of the bushes out to get to another power source. They've looked at a couple other spaces to try to figure out what's happening, but there's no power literally going to the sign right now. They don't know. So now they're still doing some digging there. Joel is working with, don't remember,
Right.
somebody anyways, to get them down there, but they gotta
This is our
trim.
contact.
Did they?
Really.
So they're working on trying to figure out what it is. They have to get to a manhole or space there to see about getting to the wire now at the sign. They've looked at other locations, but it's not those. I'm afraid so, which is very disappointing because I haven't been able to use it. I mean, everything's in there. It's programmed, ready to go, but
I
dead.
think it's a great source to, there's a lot of activity.
It's huge, it's huge for you. But it's been down a month.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. It's been down a month. If this were for profit, it would be fixed in 3 days.
Yeah. Well, I think we didn't notice it. To be honest, I don't drive that way.
You could be wrong on that one.
I will say, there's only so many ways to get the word out about events up here, and that's a big one. We have, like, Michelle's built a really good Barre City Recreation Facebook or social media account that's had quite a bit of followers. We have an account with the Civic Center. That reaches some people, but around this table, raise your hand if you're on Facebook every day, right? I mean, if we're representing the city of Barre, we have to reach our people where they're going to see it, and that's on the sign. So I feel really strongly about putting high priority on fixing that drive traffic up here.
And they've been looking at different steps and trying different places. Now they're at the last point where they need to dig up some trees or cut back some trees and get down into another manhole and explore that one now. Yeah. Because they thought it was in a panel across the street and come to find out it wasn't that. And yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, well, hopefully they find that one.
Yes.
Is there any other issues? No.